2, 1. All right. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome to another episode of Deportation Defense Live. My name's Otis Landerholm. I am your host today, and I am the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And so happy to be with you here. This is our first live of the month of September of 2023. And so I'm happy to be here. I hope you're having a great day. So today our theme is when travel causes deportation. And so we'll talk about that. And first of all, welcome again, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. Thank you for being here. Remember, the Deportation Defense Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants who are facing deportation to make the most out of immigration laws, to make the most out of their lives, and to win their cases. All right? So hang on a second. Carlos, you're saying that Facebook's not connecting yet. Should I stop or should I keep going and it'll connect eventually? You let me know. And anyway, if you're tuning in, thank you so much for being here. My question, as always, is: are you facing removal in immigration court? Okay, yeah. So I'll keep going. All right. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you for that. So my question for you, sorry, we got some technical difficulties. This happens sometimes, and so thanks for tuning in. My question today is, are you facing removal in immigration court, or do you know someone who's facing removal in immigration court? Maximize your chances of winning that case. So today our theme is, when does travel cause deportation? And it looks like we're live right now on lots of different platforms. YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram. We just have some technical difficulties on Facebook. Oh, I just got the heads up. We're live now on Facebook too. Okay, great. So everybody, thank you so much for joining, and so happy to be here. If you have questions as I'm talking, hey, please send them over. And again, we're talking about travel and when does travel cause deportation. So if you have questions about that or about any immigration topic, please send it over. As always, I like to start with a brief empowerment tip, all right? And my tip today is to encourage you to ask more questions, all right? Like, if you want to move yourself forward, it's good to always realize that there are people who are a lot farther ahead than you are, or than I am, or than anyone is, okay? And it's good to start asking those people questions. And if we assume that we know more, then we'll stay stuck, right? And we won't accept the insights from other people. Other people have valuable ideas that we can always learn from. Last week, I had called up the landlord, the owner of the unit where my wife and my kids and I rent, okay? And yesterday, I met with him for we had a cup of tea, all right? And I called him. I asked him if he'd be willing to meet with me and share some of his insights in owning property and owning rental units. And so we went out. We had a good conversation, and I gained some insights towards my own personal financial goals. And, and it just comes from asking, reaching out, and you have a question, you have someone that is in your sphere of influence that you could ask questions to. Reach out. There's no harm in asking, And sometimes the things that you learn or gain there, they can make all the difference. So anyway, I wanted to share that. Ask more questions. Be curious, right? It helps you to move your life forward. Okay, so that's it for my empowerment tip. Thank you for listening to that. Hopefully that's helpful in some way. So now I want to talk about the theme. And the theme today is, when does travel cause deportation? And, travel by itself really doesn't. But travel in one of these instances can. And so there's three instances that I want to describe today just to kind of make sure we're clear. All right? Instance number one is if you travel with a false or a fraudulent visa, or if you travel with a problem with your travel documents, or if you don't have a valid document to begin with, then the risk there is you could be what's called expeditedly removed. You could be subject to expedited removal. And that causes a 5-year deportation. Okay? So that's an instance where travel in those circumstances can cause deportation. The second instance is if you have a green card. Now you've already been admitted. You're a lawful permanent resident of the U.S. Your green card is still valid. But now imagine you leave the U.S. for a long time. For example, you leave the U.S. for over a year. Now when you re-enter the country, Customs and Border Patrol can sometimes confiscate your green card, argue that you abandoned your residency, and put you in deportation proceedings. Now, in those situations, ultimately, it's up to the judge to decide if you abandon your green card or not, but that's an instance where a lengthy travel can cause a person to be put into deportation proceedings, which, of course, you want to avoid. All right? So that's instance number three. That's instance number two. So now instance number three, and Alec B, great to see you there. Thank you for asking your questions. I'll get to them in a second. All right, I'll get to them in a second. In fact, part of what I'm saying right now will answer your questions, maybe. Instance number three is, imagine you have a green card, but you have some kind of criminal offense, some kind of arrest. All right? And imagine that arrest makes you, quote unquote, inadmissible. Well, that can cause a problem. It can cause a serious problem sometimes if you travel. You might not, there's a difference in the law between inadmissibility and deportability. And sometimes with a green card, you might not be deportable, quote unquote, but you might be inadmissible. Well, if you're in that situation, the best advice is do not travel. All right? It's so much better to stay in the situation where you are, here with your green card, apply for citizenship and become a U.S. citizen instead of ever leaving the U.S. Because if you leave and re-enter, you have to apply for admission again in certain situations, so you've got to be quote-unquote admissible, but certain crimes make you inadmissible. And so that's the issue. All right? So anyway, I hope that's clear. I hope that's helpful. If you have questions about it, please submit them. Now, some cases that my office has done, just to kind of give people some idea, all right? We have helped people re-enter the U.S. when there are difficult situations. So, for example, we've helped family members re-enter the U.S. on green cards, even after extended trips outside the U.S., even with extended trips of over 3 years. All right? And what our office does is we write a detailed travel letter where we explain in detail all the circumstances that prevented the green card holder from being able to travel back sooner. And we explain that they never intended to abandon their residency and they were maintaining their ties to the U.S. And we send them on their plane with a packet of documents to show to Customs and Border Patrol if they want to see all that stuff. All right? And sometimes a Border Patrol official will get it and just allow them in. Sometimes they'll have to go back into secondary inspection and then show all of this documentation to Border Patrol. Even there, sometimes a nice Border Patrol official will allow them in. A mean Border Patrol official will confiscate their green card and send them to a deferred inspection interview, or even a more mean immigration official could send them to immigration court, give them a notice to appear. But anyway, So, but it's still, if you're going to travel in that situation, it's wisest to travel prepared, travel with representation, travel with a lawyer and a law firm that's ready to go just in case worst case scenario happens. All right. Now, we've also helped people with criminal records with a similar travel letter explaining why their criminal history did not make them inadmissible. All right. And that's a much better analysis to do before a person ever leaves the U.S. Like the best advice is don't leave without getting that analysis clear, because sometimes there's risks to traveling. Okay? And so, you want to make if you're going to travel, you want to make your trip as smooth as possible. And if you're thinking of traveling, you want to be clear of any risks that might be out there for you if you were to travel. Okay? One other thing that we've won, but I hate doing, I don't recommend doing it, is we've also won waivers of expedited removal orders. But those are such a pain, right? And they take years to get. And the expedited removal order is just a 5-year ban. So to take 3 years of the 5 years in a waiver process is horrible, right? So it's best to avoid an expedited removal order from the beginning. Okay? So really, the point of today, the conclusion for today, and then I'll get into any questions that you have. The point is, the best thing to do is to get good advice before traveling. All right? If you're here in the U.S., you're here already, get good advice before leaving the U.S. All right? Especially if you've been arrested, especially if you're a green card holder planning to leave the U.S. for longer than 6 months. Get good advice first. Make sure that your travel out of the U.S. doesn't put in jeopardy your immigration status. Okay? And if there are risks involved, be clear on those risks before you leave. And of course, if you're outside the U.S., hey, get that advice also before getting on the plane so that you understand what to do, what to say, how to maximize your chances of having everything go smoothly through customs and as you meet with Customs and Border Patrol officials. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you all so much for being here. Alec B., I see your questions. You say, hello, how are you doing? Thanks for your show. Hey, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Alec, for being here. So you say, is the travel abroad as a green card holder, could that cause deportation, or could it make me inadmissible if I have arrest records? So the answer to that is yes, it could. All right, it could. So the wisest thing to do is really let's look carefully at the arrest records, because some arrests cause people to have serious immigration problems. Other arrests, not so much. If the arrest isn't a crime involving moral turpitude or a controlled substance offense or one of the other categories of arrests that leads to quote-unquote inadmissibility, then you might not have a problem, okay? And it's always an analysis, right? And sometimes it's very nuanced too, where it's a crime involving moral turpitude in some parts of the United States and not in others. And so it really can be very complex. And if you are in that situation, my best advice is don't travel, all right? Don't travel out of the United States until you get clear about the particulars of your situation. And if my office can help you get clear about it, hey, that's what consultations are for, all right? And we have a great consultation team. We'd love to take a look at the facts of your case and help you out if we can, all right? And Adalet, hello, and thank you for being here on Instagram. And Jose, I see you here on Instagram as well. Thank you so much for joining in. So everybody, that's it really for today. And thank you so much for being here. And, and if you still have a question, please still submit it and I'll still answer it. And the best way to see those, if everybody could take just a moment and go to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button to our channel in YouTube, and click the notifications bell while you're there, and you'll get notified whenever we upload additional legal updates and news. All right? So Alec B., I see your follow-up question here. If I'm planning to go abroad, being a green card holder, if my case was for drugs, but it was adjourned and nolle prosse, which is they didn't prosecute it. So thank you for saying that. My best advice still is to really look it over carefully, because sometimes the wisest thing to do is to wait until you apply for citizenship. Okay? And so anyway, I'd love to have our office still meet with you and review that record carefully before advising whether or not it's recommendable to travel in your situation. Okay? So, and Alec, thank you so much for, engaging with me and being here and asking that question. I really appreciate it. All right? And for everybody else out there, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you have an immigration case, please give us a call. We are here to help. We would love to help. Okay? So thanks a lot. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. And we will see you next time on our next episode of Deportation Defense Live. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.